Welcome to Barb's Fresh Eyes. I'm Barb Agoglia, and on this show, we're talking about going from stuck to unstuck. It kind of breaks my heart that so many people, teams, and organizations can get stuck, causing them to feel this like paralysis and stop any momentum that's been building. And honestly, it probably happens way more frequently than we acknowledge. But after doing many episodes with many wonderful, brilliant guests, I have come to a couple of realizations, and here's one of them. Stuck is not failure. It's a signal. If you can read the signal that you're stuck, it can start you on a path, not just of getting unstuck, but of propelling you into the future that you want to create. It's like my friend Telma sending me a text in all caps that said, "I am stuck." It was the start of a journey that has propelled her into a great place where she's really moving forward. Here's another interesting insight that I have about stuckness. It comes in many flavors, 3 in particular that I've identified as the big drivers of stuckness. The first one, the world gets stuck. We just came out of COVID. That felt like a really big, worldwide stuck moment. It changed everything. It changed the way we were working, the way we were living, the way we were interacting with people. It was tough. A second type of stuff that happens a lot is you kind of choose your stuck. It's sort of the comfort trap that we all kind of get into and don't even realize it. I worked at American Express, and for the first several years, American Express had their employee survey, and they have a question that says, how much longer do you think you're going to be at this company? For every year that I worked here, 18 years, I checked the 1 to 2 year box because I felt stuck. I felt like I was making the choice to stay there because I had security, I had consistency, I knew what to expect, and that was important to me, but it was stuck and it was self-imposed. The third kind of stuck that happens a lot and is probably a little bit more nuanced and requires a little bit more awareness is what I would call the learn cycles. It's these habits that we bring to our life and work every day that are causing us to be stuck, and we may not even realize it. It is also at the company level, the culture you create that can cause stuckness. In big companies in particular, when things are very siloed, or they have processes that aren't supportive of growth or innovation, we're institutionalizing stuckness. So it's great to know that there's different types of stuck. It's very helpful, but what do you do about it? That's kind of the question. And in reflecting on my own personal experience with getting unstuck as the leader of an organization, I remembered an incident that really was the start of me understanding the power of stuckness. Yep, the power of stuckness, because that's where it all begins. I was in a meeting with all of the senior leaders across my organization, and the most senior leader was talking about the teams and some of the work that they were doing. And my team was never being referenced. She wasn't talking about us. It started to really bug me. And I was listening to what she was saying about those other teams. And it was about the volume of contribution they were making to the company. They had hit a certain level where they got interesting. And while my team was doing perfectly fine work and we were chugging along and we were hitting our goals, we were not operating at that level. I remember actually running back to my office, calling in the leaders from my team and saying, okay, I now know why I feel stuck. And the second I said it, it's like everybody in the room exhaled, because they were feeling the same way. We had never given it a voice. It's like what Nicole Treiman said in one of our episodes, say the thing. It was so powerful to just acknowledge, one, we were all stuck. The second thing we did was why? Like why? Because we're not hitting that level of performance that's getting attention, which was great to acknowledge, because then we're like, okay, let's make some luck. How are we going to hit those kind of numbers? And it led to this unbelievable transformation of the business line that we were in. But more than that, it led to people showing up differently. starting with me. I got energetic about coming to work. I was excited to think about our what's next. I was rolling up my sleeve along with everybody else. And even though we stumbled, we tripped on a few things, we did some things wrong, it didn't matter because we had this incredible sort of enthusiasm for getting to this level of performance that other people were achieving. And it was a game changer for the team, for the people around us, and really importantly, for the customers that we were serving. Everybody started showing up in a different way. So that was really, really, really a powerful lesson for me. And it stuck with me because I'm still talking about it today. And let's just break down what happened. So I was thinking about the words to use to describe the steps you need to take to get unstuck. And I was completely inspired by my New York Knicks. They had an unbelievable run this year, including winning the championship. But if you were watching Game 4, you would not have thought that was going to happen. At halftime, they were down by 29 points. That's a pretty giant deficit in a game like that. And they came back to win that game at the end of the game. When the coach and the star player, Jalen Brunson, was being interviewed afterwards, they asked, what'd you say? Everybody wants to know, what did you say in the locker room at halftime? And they said a couple of different things that really stuck with me. One is acknowledge where you are. Jalen Brunson said we had to accept that we were down by 29 points. When I was feeling stuck, I had to acknowledge that and understand my starting point. The second thing that Coach Brown said was we needed to have some luck. But luck wasn't just going to happen. We had to make our own luck. When I started to put a plan together with my teams, we started making luck. That's what we were doing. We were deciding what we were going to do to push our path forward. No one was telling us we had to do that. No one was coming to us and say, oh, something's changing. We decided to create the change that we wanted to experience. The third thing that Jalen said was we focused on one point, one basket at a time. We just started chipping away one step at a time, which led to some momentum, which led to some more momentum, which led to a win. So when I really think about getting stuck, regardless of the type of stuck you have, those three things, acknowledging where you are, making some luck, making a plan, understanding how you're going to get out of it, and then just start chipping away, that's your action plan. That is the path to getting unstuck. And like the New York Knicks, it doesn't just propel you from stuck to unstuck, it propels you forward. And who doesn't want that? We had such amazing guests, very effective, successful leaders in the world of business, the world of fashion, in a startup environment, join us this season. And it was really interesting to me that there was this common denominator that keeps pulling through. And that is, no one actually gets stuck alone. And even more importantly, no one gets unstuck alone. When Robert Rizzolo, the president at Alexander Wang, was talking about getting stuck and not knowing where to go and what was his next step, it was the people around him that actually pulled him forward. And beautifully, in return, Robert created a process of gratitude, the gratitude circle, where he really thanked everyone in that organization for the support they had given to him and to each other.
Throughout all of my teams for the last 10 years that I've been leading teams, I've done a gratitude ceremony at the end of the meeting. And we have someone who passes it to someone on the team and recognizes them for going above and beyond and expresses gratitude. And then that person the next week will bring it and share it with someone else. And the only rule is they can't give it back to the person that gave it to them. But really what this exercise does is you end the meeting with an expression of gratitude to set the tone for how this team needs to operate. Because there's a lot going on in the business, there's a lot of emergencies, but if we don't express gratitude to each other, then we can't bring that gratitude down to our teams. So it's so important to facilitate whatever you want to see in an organization. It starts with you.
Rajiv Mehta was unbelievable in convincing me the absolute essential need for camaraderie at work. We talk a lot about camaraderie in the military and other places, but it never really seems to find a home in corporate America, certainly. But how important is it? And it doesn't just mean that you know the people around you. It's like you know the people around you. You know what their interests are. You know about their kids. You know about what they did on the weekend. So that when, the SHIT hits the proverbial fan, people around you are people you can trust and they can trust you.
When I worked at NASA, lots of brilliant people. There was my first event where we were sort of reviewing somebody's presentation and people were just throwing barbs and tearing this man's slides apart. I was like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. It's like, if I was up at the front of the room. But of course, very soon, as I came to be accustomed to the milieu, I came to appreciate, no, my gosh, they all already know they have deep respect for each other. They all know everybody's brilliant, everyone's working hard. It's more like we together are going to make this presentation, this code, as brilliant as it could be. And so that comfort that everyone has, that sense of camaraderie, actually allows the conversation to be really fierce without anyone really getting bent out of shape.
Nicole Treiman from Build had trust show up in a different way. But again, it's all anchored on people. Say the thing. I loved her Start Today activity. Just say the thing. And she was talking about it in the context of meetings at work when everybody's kind of talking and engineers are talking and marketing is talking and they're not speaking the same language. So when you ask the question that could appear to be like the dumb question, it actually opens up the room for conversation, clarification, and connection. It's just incredibly powerful.
Just say the thing. Say it because worst case, like I said before, somebody already knew it or, they don't think it's a great question. But most of the time, everybody has the same question. Everybody wanted to say the same thing, or at least it starts an interesting discourse around something maybe someone had a different opinion on. But I'm rarely kicking myself for saying the thing. I'm usually relieved and see others in the room relieved that someone said the thing and getting, notes after saying, thank you so much for bringing that up. Like, I've been wondering that the whole time.
And finally, Andrew Fingerman, the CEO of PhotoShelter, a guy who is, to me, like an engineer. I've known Andrew for many, many years. He's very linear. He's very thorough. He's very direct. And he's very even-keeled. At most of his town halls, when he gets up and talks in front of his team of 100 people, he starts crying because he's so excited and proud of the team that he works with and so wants to acknowledge the effort and energy it takes to get unstuck that the team has actually lost count about how many times Andrew has started crying in front of the meetings. It's that true vulnerability that as a leader, he is letting come through so that he can feel connected to this team so that together they can propel themselves forward.
I don't know if there's a vulnerability spectrum, but I am off the charts vulnerable with my team. So I have cried many, many times in front of my team. Not because I'm sad, because I'm proud. I'm talking about individual people who have been dedicated to the team for years and years, for an achievement or an award or recognition that the company has gotten. I tend to shed a tear or choke up from time to time. We do this thing at our all hands we call shout outs. And when I'm up there sharing those shout outs, oftentimes I'll get a little choked up. I'm willing to be vulnerable with the team. I think that does increase trust. I'm very open to sharing my own weaknesses. Part of becoming a leader isn't always excelling at everything you do, right? It's also knowing where you don't excel.
The power of people to help you get unstuck is clearly essential. But it has to start with you. I have to be the one who sees the signal. Stuck is a signal, but you have to see the signal. You have to acknowledge that you're not so comfortable going to work, or you're just not enthusiastic about what you're doing, or anything else that is your body, your mind telling you that you're not in the greatest place. I remember walking into American Express and going through those turnstiles and many days thinking, I cannot believe I am walking through this turnstile again. It took me some time to acknowledge that is a stuck feeling. So my question for you is, what are your stuck signals? We all have them, and they may not all be the same, but it's a great place to start. What are your stuck signals? How do you know when you're not in the place you want to be? Maybe you don't exercise as much. Maybe you're eating too much ice cream. That would be me. Maybe there's other signals in your body and in your mind that are telling you you're stuck. But remember, stuck is not failure. So don't be afraid to acknowledge it, to talk about it, and then to bring in those people to help you get on the path of unstuckness. Especially at a leadership level, you are likely not just helping yourself, you're helping everybody, because likely everybody's stuck, because it happens to all of us all the time. It is inevitable. So you as a leader can model the right behavior to help yourself and the people around you get unstuck. And remember, getting unstuck isn't just about going from reverse to neutral. It's about getting into gear and moving forward, propelling your momentum to really build and grow the business you're in and the life you want. So we've come to the close of this episode, which is our closing episode for season 2. And I wanted to offer my Start Today activity like I ask all of my guests to do. And my Start Today activity is really asking you to know your signal. What is your stuck signal? And here's what I want you to do. For the next 2 weeks, I want you to have sort of that outer body consciousness of how you're showing up and determine whether you feel like you might be stuck. We all have those moments when we are showing up in a stuck way. For me, I'm often late. When I start showing up late to meetings, it's my signal to say, I'm stuck because I don't want to be here and something has to change. So what's your signal? What's your stuck? That's the starting point that gets you on the pathway to getting unstuck. So it's really important that we know our own signals. I want to thank you for joining us today on Barb's Fresh Eyes and ask you to please share, like, and comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts wherever you get your podcasts. And please feel free to share this with others who would also benefit from the idea of getting unstuck. Until season 3, take care.